We went to the tight shot there last. Not bad.
That's all right.
Steve, talk to me.
ABC 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
There's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. There's Frosty the Snowman. Apparently, there's the story of Jim and John.
Jim and John.
Written by Larry Weiss, way back in the 1920s.
Yep.
So Larry, you've aged well, by the way.
Thank you. I'm a beautiful woman, John. Thank you very much.
So, okay, we've teased it enough. The story of Jim and John. What's this all about?
Well, fundamentally, you know, it's almost part of my shtick now. I'm not an attorney. Okay, I do the financial thing. Well, then what is it that you do, Larry? And these two stories of Jim and John completely brilliantly, and Greg Condra in our next segment will appreciate this for all kinds of reasons. I'm not kissing and telling it, Greg. Okay. So let's talk about John. John and his wife came in last week. They had enjoyed the family. With the family, his mother and stuff, that had a living trust, and they wanted one for themselves. Well, of course, for that, I've referred them to Steve Langdon, CLLB Law. Steve is our elder law superstar attorney. So John and his wife are pre-planning. Well, in part of that mix, he and his wife are paying for long-term care. And what often happens is, the longer you have it, either the premiums go up, or you get a letter saying if you call us within 30 days, you can do reduced benefit, you know, pay less benefit, all this and that. So I've assured John, I assured John this morning that this afternoon, Faints and I are basically going over all of his financials, because I do the financials, I don't do the legal. So we're going to basically assess his financial situation, what his income is, what his potential spend down would be on out of pocket for a nursing home. And John is very much one of the three examples of estate planning that we do. And John's clearly pre-planning. I want to avoid things. I want to avoid probate. Well, then you go talk to Steve Langdon, elder law superstar, CLLB Law. Did I say that right, Steve?
Are you wearing wear that hat when you talk to him?
I don't know. If you think it will enhance my stature with the client, I'll do it.
Yeah, it's something.
I'll do whatever you say, okay, because you're the attorney. So they are the pre-planning. Okay.
And the pre-planning is probably what you recommend.
Well, certainly.
Get ahead of it.
You ask all the time, John. That's why you're Kentucky's most insightful host. You know, is there ever a good time, or when do you start? You want to start yesterday, because with John and his wife, we're going to develop a lot of plans to protect assets now from a nursing home. There's certainly some legal things, but there's also some financial things. The other extreme is Jim. Jim and his wife came in last week, and Jim and his wife live in New Albany. His dad is in Kentucky. His dad is at the hospital, and one of the things, and Autumn Schneider, who's now basically our resident placement expert with the nursing homes, and this is something Autumn has developed, she has the cell phone numbers of the business office managers, because those are the ones that say, yeah, come on in, we have a bed, or I'm sorry, we don't have any room in Baby and Jesus, whatever. They're the ones. So we've kind of ended up with their phone numbers, because they just want paid. They really don't care if it's the family paying or the state's paying for benefits, that the engineer of this was the attorney in the legal part. So Jim came in, and they were concerned about the house because there's a brother involved. Well, there's legal strategies that the attorney will use so that the house will be exempt. How do you do that? Well, you'll have to call Elder Advisors, 855-LARRY-55, or Don't Go Broke a Nursing Home, or elderadvisors.com, because I'm not going to give away my secret recipe. But so the family was relieved, but they were still stressed about the placement. And so after they left, Tim were sitting down, the family had left, this is on the first meeting, and we said, wait a minute, he lives in Indiana. Why don't we reach out to an Indiana facility? Because he's the one that's really doing it all. The brother is kind of just in the background. And so Tim and I reached out, because I had the business office manager cell. I reached out and I said, do you have a male, semi-private memory care? And so I've really asked for the world, haven't I?
Yeah, you have.
I've asked for the world. Oh, and will you transition to Medicaid next month? So, I mean, if you're going to go in, go all in. She came back and said yes. And I gave her some of the particulars. So Jim came back 2 days later with a bunch of paperwork stuff to start this. And then Tim and I told him, I said, well, Tim and I were talking. And I said, would you be open for Indiana? And he was like, yes. I mean, you could tell already. He said, this is great news. I thought, because they had the hospital found him a nursing home in Kentucky they weren't really happy with for all kinds of reasons. And when we mentioned the Indiana option, they were like a weight lifted from it. He said, oh, this is fantastic news. I mean, the guy actually was smiling at a terrible time. at a terrible time. And I said, well, do you have a power of attorney, which I know Greg Condor, the next segment, is going to talk about, because I'm not an attorney. I don't do the documents. Attorneys do. And he said, well, actually, I do. I've got it in the car. Let me go get it, because I'm going to need it for the financial thing the attorney would. Well, here's where I really got a gut shot from the wife. She says, well, things have been pretty bad, because the wife had passed away 3 years ago. And she says, well, 3 years ago, Dad backed over Mom in the garage and killed her.
Oh, my goodness.
And, you know, I was just numb with that, you know, and yeah, you know, Dad's going in the garage. He thought Mom went one way, he went the other. And I mean, you know, it just all, I mean, it's just terrible, terrible. And, I mean, it really just took my breath away, and I really just got speechless for that one. I mean, so the son has just been carrying all this sadness for 3 years, but you would have not known, because he came back in from the car, sat down. Of course, he didn't know his wife had told Tim and I this story, and of course, we didn't bring it up either. But the guy was on cloud nine. He was so thrilled. He said, I can't tell you what great news this is. You guys found a place in Indiana. I can go see Dad, because he's the one that's taking care of it and stuff. And it was a joyous occasion, and that's crisis planning. But even in a crisis plan, we were able to, forget the pun, bring joy into this guy's life with what Tim and I brought to the table, and by being able to reach out to the business office manager after hours and text her, and she responded. And as part of the credibility and cachet that Elder Advisors has built up, because fundamentally the facilities want paid, they know we don't play games, they certainly know Steve Langdon, he's been out to these facilities doing things that he needs to do on the legal end. So that's crisis planning. So we had John on pre-planning. By the way, Kentuckiana, John Rienzi is by far the best voice host of Kentuckiana, but the guy behind the scenes today is Zach on camera 12. And Zach, you are killing it, baby. Zach, you're just as important as Ken at this station. Don't think you're not. Kentuckiana, if you ever see Zach, say hi to him. He makes me look beautiful. Thank you, Zach. But so we had John. Is that okay?
Yes, that's okay.
Thank you. So, well, you know, everybody needs a little applause.
Sure.
It's Christmas.
He's done a great job.
Zach has done a great job. He's wired you up twice. I think the second time was because you took pleasure in it, but I don't want to say anything.
Hey, again.
There he is. Hey, Zach.
There
Look
he
at you.
is.
Thank you, Tammy. Zach, you're killing it. You're a beautiful man. Beautiful man. But we had John on the pre-planning. And then we had poor Mr. Jim on the crisis planning, and it's clearly a terrible thing. But he was so happy with what Tim and I were able to bring, and I was even a little put back by that.
I got to tell you, and John, seriously, you can see the load on their shoulders literally lift
I did.
off.
For the first time, I really did.
Now you can see with our clients, my clients, the stress, just the stress relief. You can see it come off their shoulders. They walk in, kind of slumped over and just scared out of their mind, and they walk out with a whole new perspective.
You know, something I want to talk about that I think is part of the story and part of what you do that we don't really reference a lot is we talk about, real estate and holding on to assets, and we talk about power of attorney and these kind of things, and those are really rough matters to maneuver in, but also the dynamic of the family. You mentioned the brother. You deal with that a lot. Every family dynamic is different. There's a matriarch, there's a patriarch, and it's not necessarily mom and dad.
Right.
And you find out who runs the show, and you've got to actually kind of dance around that and try to keep everyone happy. How big a part of your job is that, Larry?
Well, it is, and for the Joes of the world or the Johns of the world, we're just trying to help Joe or John or Mary navigate through the information they give us to work through it. Did you like that, Greg? Greg says yes. Love it. But yeah, it is something you have to navigate through, and you have to work off the best information the family provides you at that time, and that's all you can do when you're trying to put a plan together.
But what you say a lot of times too is that barbershop law. People hear things, family members hear things. So I know what I try to do, and I know what you guys try to do with Elder Advisors, is have an inclusive approach.
Right.
Bring the family in. There's always a decision maker. We bring the family in so that everybody has a chance to understand.
Transparent.
Absolutely transparent, so people understand what we're doing, how we're doing it, and what the goal is at the end of the day.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to meeting Greg. He's coming up next. We'll talk about everything that Elder Advisors does, and remember, don't go broke at a nursing home.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Quick break. We'll be back. Larry, Steve, and then Greg will join us as well.
Greg Condra, own it.
On Wave 3 Listens.